Now on to our third segment, should there be a minimum age limit for private hire car drivers? Now young drivers whom ST spoke to were not in favour of such restrictions. They say driving is a good source of income and can be a viable career. Cabbies currently have to be at least 30 years old, but private hire drivers just have to hold a driving licence for at least 2 years. They can get the license from age 18. Now to shed some light on this matter, I have journalist Zhaki Abdullah. Welcome, Zhaki.
Hi, Yanto.
Nice to see you. Now, Zhaki, first up, if you could tell us what are the pros and cons of setting a minimum age for private hire car drivers?
So, during the act that was passed about 2 weeks ago, several MPs raised some issues. So one of them was safety, with the perception, of course, that younger drivers are more reckless, not as safe as more mature drivers. And the other is that, with the incentives, the low barriers of entry to the private hire sector, that basically more younger people will be lured into this rather than going into other sectors. Right. And this means that they don't enjoy some of the benefits that come in with more long-term jobs, your CPF, Medisave, things like that. Basically, as freelancers, private hire drivers don't enjoy these things.
And Zhaki, in your opinion, would this restriction matter or make a difference to the current drivers that we have now?
Okay. In Parliament, Senior Minister of State for Transport, Dr. Janil Puthucheary, he mentioned that the data that the government has doesn't actually support this idea that younger drivers are less safe. So your private hire drivers who are below the age of 30, they don't actually get more involved in more accidents compared to older drivers. And as for the second point, he also noted that the younger drivers don't actually make a very large percentage of the total driver pool. Right. So of the total number of PDVL or these private hire vocational license holders, only about 41,000, there are about 41,000 drivers, sorry. And of these, only about 4% between the ages of 20 and 25, and between 25 and 29%, 25 and 29 years old, they're about 12. It's about 12%. So you only have about 6,000 drivers out of the total pool of more than 40,000. So it's a very small number. And it's a very small number, and it doesn't mean that when you hold a license, you're an active driver, you're out there full time every day. It could be the case that these people, they get a license as a sort of a backup plan. So they have it as a side gig, or in case they get laid off, they have something else that they can depend on. So for now, I don't think that having this glut of younger drivers is really an issue.
And Zhaki, of course, the number that they've set, or the age that they've set, is 30, right? Is 30 really an arbitrary number? What are some of the considerations in setting this minimum age limit?
So we have to take into account that when the MPs actually brought up the issue, there were several suggestions. Some people said 25, some people said 30. So 30 would put private hire drivers on par with taxi drivers, where historically and currently as well, the age limit is 30. And this has been the case for quite some time. And since the point-to-point transport bill, right, was about streamlining the rules, making the regulations fair for both sectors. It makes sense that you would sort of have the same age limit for both. So when the bill was passed, there was no age limit imposed. So it's still the case that you only need to have the driver's license for 2 years. Dr. Janil did say that the issue is still being studied. And so it's something that could come up again in the future.
Right. So there you have it. Of course, the discussions are still ongoing whether this age limit restriction will be imposed on private hire car drivers. Thank you again, Zhaki, for coming onto the show. Now, of course, for more on private hire car driver issue or just the issue on age limit, you can visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Now, earlier on, we had Kara on the show who shared with us more on the ongoing police investigation to look for the culprit involved in the falling wine bottle case, which has caused a man's death. And then we also had our senior education correspondent Sandra in the show as well to tell us about MOE's latest announcement, where the government is to increase tuition fee bursaries for uni and poly students. And last but not least, we have Zhaki on the show also to talk about whether there should be an age limit to private hire car drivers. So there you have it. Those are our top stories for today. For more news and videos, do log on to our website at www.straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Join us same time tomorrow for more stories on The Big Story.